Not the Footy Show.
The Maroons lead 1-0. Another famous Queensland win. You can see what it means.
Not the Footy Show.
Forward sizzle.
What's news?
Not a lot, man. Not much. We've got a new coach. When I say we, the team I previously followed, got a new coach.
Don't believe it. I do not believe it. You know, the only way I'd believe it is if you sort of had that coach on the books, like, I don't know, 9 months ago, and, you know, he knew the workings of the place, but you just sort of worked him from assistant coach to coach. That would make sense. But, yeah, can't imagine you've done that.
Well,
G'day, everybody. Welcome back to Not the Footy Show. Yeah, we had another break. Deal with it. I'm Warrick Nicolson. That's Robb Cox. Things have been happening. We've got Origin 2 coming up. We won't talk about Origin 1 because we're New South Wales fans. But Cocksmith, I went interstate about the last 2 weeks, so we haven't done a podcast. But I believe you applied for a coaching position and you just missed out. Is that true?
just missed out. It's true. It's true. I thought that I could bring something to the table, and clearly I was wrong. Well, they thought I was wrong.
So did Jason Riles, but, you know, he wasn't good enough. Or did he just get promised the job after Craig Bellamy? One of the two. And Shane Flanagan ends up falling backwards into the job and the club that he didn't want to be a part of 6 months ago. So that is for part 2. But part 1, Cocksmith, must be Origin. Very, very quick recap of Origin 1, where the Blues just found a way to be meh. Once again, Nathan Cleary.
Oh, they lost the game, mate.
Big games. Big Origin games.
I'm not sure I can put it all. I'm not sure I can put it all down to Cleary, but he certainly wasn't overwhelmingly good.
No.
I've said this before. Origin has been a bit of a nemesis for him because he certainly stood up great at club level, and arguably even he made more of an impact, I think, at the World Cup than he did than he's done at Origin. So, yeah, it just goes to show you how tough that arena is, and some players are cut out for it and some aren't.
And we keep picking the ones that have looked like deers in headlights. So Mitchell Moses gets the job with Cleary doing a hammy. Jerome Luai holds his spot. Latrell Mitchell, once again, present for big games. Oh, geez, a loss. It was a big loss on the eve of game 1.
Oh, it's a big loss.
He's a bigger loss in the eve of game 2 with no Cleary. You did send me a message. I won't repeat it. But are you still feeling the same way about 1M Moses?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, I'm my challenge is I want to be proved wrong. You know, I find it very hard to I know that the people think that I'm some kind of a traitor, but I find it very hard to like a team that I see Moses in. Right? I just find it hard, and I'll probably be very much sitting on the fence next week because, you know, there probably needs to be some changes now. That we've had a few years now of bewildering team choices, you know, and the Coach Fittler came out last week and said it was a circus, and how he was, you know, certain that Moses was going to be in there. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second.
No way, no.
I mean, if that was a certainty, why wouldn't Moses have been picked for the bench spot to play 14 to cover for 7 and 6 in first Origin? Why wasn't he picked? I mean, Nicho Hynes was always his second choice. Otherwise, Nicho Hynes isn't playing on the bench. And look, Nicho Hynes certainly wasn't chosen he was chosen probably for his versatility in the halves and possibly hooker, but he wasn't chosen for his versatility to play everywhere else because he can't play centre. That's a given. You don't need to worry about that now. He can't play centre, probably can't play winger, no, probably not much great at lock. So Moses, if we're to believe what Fittler says, Nicho was a better cover for half and 5'8" than Moses would have been. But now Moses is his first choice centre. First choice half.
He might be the first choice centre. Who knows?
He might be. He's probably a better centre than Nicho. But, you know, I can't – I mean, for the longest time I've giggled behind my hand about couple of things that you've said about the chief advisors of New South Wales, but I think you're a genius. I think that you actually have it spot on because I think they're both fairly clueless.
Yeah.
All you got to do is look at New South Wales's bench rotations in game one to know that somebody's driving with their hands off the wheel. I mean, one little stat that comes to mind is the fact that our three best middle forwards were on the field only for 1 8-minute period in game one. Hudson Young never went on in the second half, did he?
No.
I'm not saying he's the best, but I'm saying if you're going to rotate that, if you're going to do that, let's just look at the second half in isolation before we go. Nico Hines came on with 10 minutes or 11 minutes to go. Right, Hudson Young didn't come on, so they virtually played the whole second half with 15 players. Hello, what's going on up there? And are they Dutch ovening up in the coach's box?
I've no idea. I've no idea. And for people who haven't listened regularly, the chief advisor is a sleep doctor, also known as Craig Alexander. I'll give you a stat. And you were saying before about the whole, circus element. Since 2019, how many game ones has New South Wales won?
Tell me, I'm interested.
One.
So 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, in 5 years. One in 5 years.
We in game one of 2019, we lost 18-14. Game one of 2020, we lost 18-14. That was a shocker. And then game one of 2021 with Mitchell and Trebojevic in the centres, we smashed them 50 points to 6. And then game one of last year, we lost 16-10. And then game one this year, lost 26-18. Now, if that doesn't underscore my point about old mate Sleep Doctor and the influence he has on teams, because the counter stat to that is that Nathan Cleary in game 2 is 5-0. But Nathan Cleary ain't there this year. He ain't there this year, kids. And we're going to Suncorp and we're relying on Mitchell Moses, who got a pity game a couple of years ago in game 3 of that 2021 series, and we lost that much. But I don't have quite the level of I can't believe they picked him element as you might. And I'm not a huge Mitchell Moses fan, people from listening to the show, but when Mitchell pulled out, I just don't know how we score points on the left edge, because Crichton's he's not up to Origin. I can't believe people were going on about how good he was in game 1. They weren't watching the same game I was. We didn't use Tommy at all. Are we going to use him in game 2? I don't know.
Look, I don't even think Tommy's best attacking side is his right side.
No, I agree. When he comes
play him at left
left
centre. I'd play him at left centre, and I'd play Crichton in his rightful position at right centre.
Adokar and Tom. Do you reckon that might happen? Here's a question for you. Do you reckon that realising how bad it went in game 1, they're going to do that swap and Adokar and Tommy to the left? And
I don't know. Plenty of journalists have been getting lots of leaking stuff from New South Wales. I would have thought that someone would have coughed that one up already. We'll see. Maybe it could be a mid-game switch or something. I'm not sure, but Jesus, an ask, isn't it? Going to Queensland, they're virtually the same as they were, with a couple of
they've
changes,
actually got a few more changes than we think, Cocksmith. And it's all because of injury. So just to give you people the numbers, Arrow, Cobbo, Gilbert, all injured. They're out.
Yep.
And Tom Dearden, who was 18th man, has been let go. They've brought in Fodawaker, Xavier Coates, and Jeremiah Nanai into the squad.
The 3 players. Yeah.
That's still pretty significant. We've lost 7.
We've lost half our spine.
So Moses is in for Cleary, Cook is in for Koroisau, Robson's in for Hines, Frizzell and Young both held their spots, which I found interesting. And Utakamanu is in for Tavita Pangai Jr. and Burton's 18th man.
Frizzell was good.
He's all right. I mean, Martin was great when in
Frizzell
the middle.
was good.
Martin was great in the middle. Then they moved him to the edge, and he had no legs. Like, explain that to me. That did my head in the whole game. So anyway, we've passed our chance to. Can
I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Right.
You may.
When Tommy went off, the guy that hit Tommy high was sin binned, correct?
Yep.
So That's enough to enact an 18th man, is it
So
not?
if a player is sin binned and put on, well, he is put on report if he's sin binned generally, but yes, you may activate your 18th man for a HIA.
Your 18th man on the night was Burton, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So who thought in the Brains Trust, who thought that Burton wasn't a better centre than Nicho Hynes? We can blame Nicho all we like, right? The fact
Cleary's
is he's
the one
probably
that missed
never...
the first contact on Munster on the try anyway. As bad as Nico's effort was, Cleary's the one that has to make that tackle because he had first contact on Munster.
But
Sorry.
let's forget that for a moment. Who do you think decided not to enact the 18th man and to get Nicho into the game?
Fittler.
It's Fittler, right?
Because he's gone, I've got him on the bench, I have to use him. I didn't use him like I said
Why?
he was. Because he comes across as that kind of bloke. He won't be ruthless when he has to be. And that may be a good quality. It really might be, Coxsmith.
Well, I think it's probably a great quality as a human.
Mm.
But in a dog-eat-dog, all's fair in love and war battle in Origin, then fair doesn't come into it. You might have promised Nicho the world, but things change.
Obviously.
And
now he's played.
And the
just
fact
out for the Sharks this weekend.
Look, the long and short of it is this. Nicho was there for one reason. It was to cover for Luai in case Luai had a bad game. And he wasn't having a bad game.
Correct.
Right? So these are the nuts and bolts of it, folks. Cleary was never going to get hooked. Not in a million years. Right? No. Fittler ain't going to hook Cleary. No. Unless he gets injured or, gets sin binned or something like that. Luai had a parachute or a safety net there, which was named Nicho Hynes. Luai was probably better than Cleary on the night and couldn't get hooked, right? Mm. So Nicho Hynes' promise went out the window. Then Fittler and co did not put Burton on. And Burton, they say he's a 6 or sometimes a 7. He's probably one of the best centres in the world. He's certainly in the top 5 or 6 centres in the world. And to not put one of the best centres in the world into that right spot when you had the opportunity, you're asking to lose. You're rolling the dice. Yeah, well,
right into right centre and played Burton on the left.
Well, absolutely. Back where Crichton should be. Or even, you know what? Even stick a back rower, another back rower like Hudson Young.
Camrari, whatever. Yeah, just someone out there.
Because Hynes is going to do nothing in the centres, I'm telling you now. Yeah. But anyway, all that aside, I think New South Wales lost the game. I think the coaching box helped them lose the game. It's disappointing. It's disappointing because of that stat that you mentioned earlier, one game from 5-6 years of trying.
So we wait till game 2 to get our act together is the story of the series in the last 5. And
but not when you're...
look, the teams, as I said, our team's all right. It's not as imposing as it could be. Queensland's team, it's, at the end of the day, I think Coates is targetable. Bottlewaker's been playing well for the Titans, and Nano's played like one game in 6 weeks. I was surprised he got pulled back into the starting team. So I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up going back to the bench and they started somebody else. There was a good old quote from my old mate Tomo on Channel 9 who took 5 seconds this afternoon to annoy me. He goes, both teams want to win this game. His first comments as he opened the telecast. I'm stunned. I can't believe you turn up to a match and actually want to win. It's mind-boggling insight. Anyway, he also was then promoting game 2. And you know this is what media does now, but they will often have a viewpoint. But instead of saying it themselves, this is my viewpoint, they will say, people are saying, it's been suggested that...
Yeah, name those people. Who are they?
Me. This will be the greatest Blues win ever if they go up to Suncorp and win game 2. Let that sink in for a second. Matt Thompson says, he's believing it, not other people, that it'll be the greatest Origin victory for New South Wales if they win game 2. What is he on?
Well, he had a chat with Gus last week on 6 tackles with Gus. That Gus said to him, there have been some great wins by New South Wales over the years, but normally the media doesn't celebrate them like they do when Queensland wins. And he's probably right. So because as Gus says, and I agree with this, that Origin is all about Queensland. Yep. It's all about Queensland.
Yep.
If Queensland, we've said this before, but if Queensland were at the hands of a 9-blot winning streak by New South Wales, it'd be the end of Origin. Origin's finished. So we can't afford to have Queensland losing
That's in Queensland.
like New South Wales, like New South. It is Tony Carroll. So we know about that. But look, the fact of the matter is, this is going to be an exceedingly hard job for New South Wales to go up there and beat them. I want to see New South Wales win. I just don't know how they're going to do it, mate. I mean, if Queensland even played like they did last time, I think New South Wales are a 12-point worse off team than they were before. I want to be wrong, but I just don't see how they're going to win.
The striking thing out of game one for me was we had the field position and the possession advantage, and Cleary's kicking game was next level abysmal because he didn't put any pressure on them at all. Didn't give our guys any chance to compete with the ball. It just was little dinky kicks the whole time. And what I take out of that, and this is the key point, is that we had so much ball and field position that Cam Munster and DCE barely touched the pill the whole game. They barely touched it. And yet, when a big play was needed, Munster came up with 2. DCE did his job when he had to. His kicking game, his defence was really strong. And that's the challenge for Mitchell Moses and Jerome Luai in this game. And we haven't even discussed the fact that I think New South Wales are a better team with Damien Cook at 9, but that shall be seen. It's up to Moses and Luai to when they get their chances to capitalise, to create. They can't just play the safe Penrith game, which we did in game 1, which is defend them out of the game, kick to the corners, rely. That's what we did in game 1, and we never looked like actually really that threatening. And that's the only upside I've got of the Luai and Moses combo. It's fresh. It's different.
Well, yeah, it's fresh and different.
They might attack.
And Moses does. I mean, look, I think it was the game that they won against Penrith a bit earlier in the year, Parramatta. Moses' kicking was the best I've ever seen him kick. He was constantly kicking the ball high and long, 40, 50 metres on the fly, but high enough to get his defenders or his chasers in under the ball. And he was landing it on the 10-metre line every time, on the numbers on the 10-metre line. So 10 metres out, 10 metres in. And he was like a laser. His kicking game is better than Cleary's. And Cleary does this thing. It drives me wild a bit. He does this thing in Origin where he won't kick the ball long and deep. It's like he would rather land it on the 20 or 30 metre line than have a long kick. I mean, I don't know if he's worried about kicking it dead, but geez, he's coming up way short of kicking it dead.
That was the underscore of game 1 from him. But right now, Cocksmith, we sit here, we are New South Wales fans, we just are. It's what it is. Believe it or not, we have passion as well, Queensland. I'm thinking Queensland win, but I don't know. And this isn't scripted, but just as I think of the whole Cleary, the fact that Cleary's not playing, that Luai and Moses get a chance just to be themselves and Cook's at 9, I'm leaning back to us pulling off one. I just am. I just don't think Queensland... They deserve to win game 1 because they took their chances, and we were wasteful. I didn't think they were next level though, and we've got improvement in us even without those players. And if we can find a way for Tommy to get involved in the game and Teddy to be a better player than he was in game 1, he was poor. We've still got.
I think his attack was all right. I think Teddy's attack was all right. His defence let him down. Once in attack, when he didn't pass the ball, there was an open line. And he didn't pass the ball to Todd, I believe, and it was a try went begging. But not taking a winger out over the sideline from 10 metres out in defence. I think it was Cobbo just blew past him. It was and Tedesco got to him.
Well. Yeah,
Tedesco got to him, but couldn't get him over the line.
Yeah.
Missing that little kind of short kick with a front rower out jumping is a bit ordinary. So I think Tedesco had one of his worst Origins that I've seen him have. So he'll improve for sure. And like you just said before, the way that Penrith play football, which usually goes Nathan Cleary, second receiver, runs a little crossfield play, an inside runner. They do this all the time. Now Queensland have worked out how to short fuse that, and that is by rushing up on defence. Get to him as he's getting the ball, and then Cleary doesn't. This is the problem with him so far in his career. He doesn't seem to have a change of style when he's getting rushed in defence, or when he's getting rushed in attack from the defenders. So look, you could be quite right, mate. I really hope that New South Wales can do something, but I don't have a lot of hope. I tend to feel that in Queensland with a 1-0 up, they've got everything to play for. I mean, New South Wales have got to play for it as well, but they're going to be hard to beat, mate. Don't make any mistake. They're going to be hard.
Sorry, one thing we've got now up our sleeve, and it's something that I was really impressed by Tom Gilbert in game 1 until he did his shoulder. He was the aggressor. Queensland have only got Tino really out there now, who was in that aggressive mindset. Hudson Young, I liked what he did in the first 20 minutes of game 1.
Yeah, I did
Do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again. Get under their skin. Luai, mate, go in there. What have we got to lose?
Nothing, really.
So
what do you think? What do you think of actually starting with Liam?
Well, I'd start Murray and Martin.
Liam, Martin, and Murray. So the full strength team on the field, and you have Hudson on the bench.
And I'd bring Hudson back on for Martin, and then use Martin in the middle in the last part of the game, because that's where I think his impact would come. I don't mind starting Hudson. Martin as a prop in the start of the game. I actually think he's better in the middle, personally, in Origin arena, because he just runs out of legs on the edge.
I just don't want to see. I want to see the coaches, the New South Wales coaching staff, just throw caution to the wind, put the best team on the field to start the game, try and blow Queensland away with some aggression, and then call upon your bench, and then try and get the best team back out there as soon as possible, because what we're doing isn't working, mate. The rotation of the bench did not work in game 1.
I really didn't like having Murray and Yeo both playing middle. I didn't like that at all.
No.
But it doesn't work, and you got to have Murray on an edge because he's a better defender and he can look after a half. Anyway, prediction time, mate, because we need to get on to the Flanagan discussion.
Yep.
I had Queensland. Yeah.
Go on.
I
was going to say Queensland by 14.
Oh, 14. What's your score? 24-10 or something?
Something like that.
I had Queensland 20-12 on my notes. 22-8. Okay. And I'm changing because I'm a believer. Go the Blues.
Okay.
I'll go.
I want to believe. I want to be with you, but
I'll go us 20-18. There you go. Changing my tip, and that sets up a decider in game 3. Anyway, enough Origin. It's time to talk some Red V, because it's a part of you, and it evidently wasn't really a part of Jason Riles, because he was gifted a first grade coaching gig, and he parlayed that into the successor job at Melbourne. Is this one of the greatest moves by like a non first grade coach you've ever seen? It's a magical move. It really is.
I find it quite strange. I mean, given that he played for the Dragons for a long time, given that he owns a house in Wollongong, he's from the area, and it kind of tells you, though, doesn't it, what a basket case the Dragons are. That all of that and $850 a year across 4 years.
I can't believe it.
Couldn't get him across the line. So
that news broke before I got away, and I'm thinking, well, who do they bring in now? Are they going to go Tubes? We were sharing those messages, or that Tubes for New South Wales. Actually, that's what that discussion was.
Yeah.
And then I'm out in a boat in the middle of nowhere, and my WhatsApp picks up messages, and someone says Flanagan's just got the Dragons job. No, I just didn't believe it. I don't see how a club that had him as an assistant coach, then they put him into a list manager role. Like, if you don't think he's your head coach in waiting, why is he in that role? Then he leaves and goes to Manly. And Manly have been meh, apart from the preseason champions that they were. And all of a sudden, now he's the last man standing and he gets a big deal, and it's now, he's going to save our club. How did Dragons get to this point?
I think having him as list manager might have been a call from someone else. I think that might have been a little bit of paranoia creeping into the other coach's gig. Probably didn't want him as close as he was. Look, I don't know, mate. I think the Dragons board read the room and said, we can't have a rookie coach. We may have dodged a bullet here, and I think both of them, Riles and the club.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I think that's not untrue what you're saying there.
And I think maybe Des Hasler apparently was in the mix, but he mustn't have wanted to do it. And I kind of get it, mate. Like they train in Wollongong, and he's a Northern Beaches boy.
Yeah,
he's not moving.
The best commute I've ever heard of in football was actually it's Michelle Bishop who does the Channel 7 news and on SEN. She was media manager at Penrith, all right, but she was living on the Central Coast and was in at like 7 o'clock every morning. Like that's a fair commute. I think Brookvale to Wollongong might just beat it because imagine doing that.
You'd have to. You'd have to. You'd have to make them set up an apartment for you 4 days a week or something like that, and then just travel for 1 or 2. But
anyway, he didn't get the job.
So it must have just been a bridge too far.
Flano did. There are some upsides though, Cocksmith. I've analysed it. There's some upsides of Flanagan being head coach
tell me
the Dragons.
What
He's no longer going to be on Fox Sports.
Okay.
Do you? I've said this to you before. I'm sure I said it on the pod, but I don't want to say it again. You sit there and you listen to him commentate, and you just go, "That is not a football genius." Like he doesn't inspire you with the way he looks at the game. He might be really good at the basics and getting a club to work hard, and I'm not denying that. But when he talks about some things, there was a try scored. Was it? It was Friday night. The Cowboys and Panthers. It was Panthers scored a try down the right hand side, and it was a slick move. It had been practiced and executed beautifully, and it takes some skill to do that. And he just said, "Oh, it's a simple play by the Panthers. Really simple. They should have defended that." I'm thinking, I just watched it, and I'm going, that's like hours of practice in the off season. Going, well, if we have an opportunity to hit down the side on this angle of the field and blah blah, and Flanagan's gone, that's easy. I don't know. He does nothing for me at all.
Yeah.
That's the only
I don't know. I don't know. I don't mind him on.
Oh, he's already buttering up the coach. I love it.
No, not at all. I think the only thing that annoyed me was I kind of knew he had the job the week before when he called the Dragons game, and he was buttering up the team the week before. I can't remember what game it was.
What did he say about Ben Hunt? Because we haven't even got to that little juicy bit yet.
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to do with Ben Hunt, but I reckon Ben Hunt has been having chats with other clubs, or clubs have been having chats with him.
Absolutely.
And he's just thought, you know what? Wollongong is a cold, windy, horrible place in winter, and up here on the coast, it's beautiful, and I can make the same money, and I don't have to play for a club that are in disarray. Even though the Titans aren't doing great. So you think Bulldogs?
Yeah. Gus wants him. Gus will get him. Can I just give you the quote from Flanagan when the news came out that Ben Hunt wanted out like 2 days after he gets announced coach? It's just like, how would you feel if you're Shane Flanagan? Like you'd be like, oh man, everyone wants to play for me. Anyway, these are his quotes after the news came out. He said, he'll be captain and our halfback and we'll move forward. He's got a contract. Sorry. Can we just stop there for a second? Didn't Josh Kerr have a contract as of like 6 hours ago for the rest of this year? And now they've released him and he's gone to Redcliffe. So if that's your reasoning, good luck with that. He goes, this is the best bit if you're a Dragons fan, okay? This is the head coach, all right, talking about his star player wanting out, all right? In the space of 5 hours since that news broke, this is his comment. I haven't bothered him because he's in Origin camp, but we'll chat after the game. Ben Hunt is not going to be a Dragon next year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, maybe he won't. Maybe he won't. Did you hear the interview on Triple M with Ryan Webb?
Oh, the CEO. Yeah, I haven't heard it. No.
So they got him, and he sounds very adamant that Hunt is going nowhere. He even pulled out that old chestnut. Look, he's got a contract till the end of 2025, and we intend to have him with us until the end of 2025.
Would not be the first time the Dragons heard a player sit out a season on contract, would it?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be. In my mind, he's probably got a good year or two left in him. If he's really freaky, maybe 3 years left in him. But he's 34 next year, I believe. He's got a contract in 2025, so he'll be 35 when. Is anybody going to pay anywhere near $1 million for a 35-year-old turning 36 halfback? Not sure. So I think the Dragons will want to be really sure if they let him go that they can replace him. It frees up a fair bit of money, $1.2 million, whatever it is. So
can I liken it?
If they can't, yeah.
Jack Whiten leaving Canberra. All right, you know my view on that.
Yeah.
It was, I just didn't think it was worth us investing over $1 million to try and keep him. Now he's
sure
2 or 3 years younger than Ben Hunt, but the Dragons aren't going anywhere with Ben Hunt at 7 the next couple of years. And I don't mean that it's not criticism of Ben Hunt. It wasn't a criticism of Jack Whiten. Their club is not in a position where he sticks around and they challenge for a title. So do you just go, if he doesn't want to be here, he's old enough, he's making enough money that we can probably use the cash.
Maybe, but who's around? Just enlighten us for the next 2 or 3 minutes and tell me who would they get to play halfback that's better than Ben Hunt is.
Kyle the hooker
for $1 million. Not a chance. I don't think he'll be there. I really don't think he'll go to Saints. I think
Jack,
that would
Nathan Cleary's clone Cogger. Chad Townsend.
If Nathan Cleary's on 1.2, 1.3, what's Cogger worth, do you think? In a free market, what's Cogger worth?
$1.50. Oh, what
do you think he's worth?
He's low hundreds.
600?
He's 100 and something. No, Jack Cogger.
Yeah, but what do you think he's worth on the open market?
200K at most. No one's going to sign him for anything.
Well, how the hell did Chad Townsend get 800 grand?
Because he is a genius. That's what he is.
So's his manager. Look, I was watching the Channel 9 footy show and they had the journos, which was Webster,
I can't watch
Gal,
that.
and someone else.
I can't
remember who the other guy was. But if it's the Gold Coast that want him, I mean, and I agree with this other guy's what he said. If it's the Gold Coast that want him, St George are going to have to play hardball and say, okay, well, we want someone in return. You can have Ben Hunt. You don't have to pay us any money because getting paid money, they've still got a cap. They've got just because you get 300 grand from another club on a transfer doesn't mean you can spend 300 grand more. You can still only spend what you can spend.
Yep.
So getting the cash, unless so they should be hunting someone, a big name from up there, and say you can have Ben Hunt, but we want
the two halves in that system is Tanner Boyd, who's currently the halfback running the team around. He's playing okay.
Nah,
and the better prospect is Toby Sexton, who fell off the edge of a cliff at the end of last season. But he had shown something.
I don't even think they don't need another halfback. I think what they need, they've lost Josh Kerr. Why not say to the Gold Coast, you can have Ben Hunt. We want Tino.
Not going to happen.
No, it won't happen. But it'd certainly pour water on them trying to chase.
Well, we talked about trades earlier today, and we'll wrap the show up in a sec, people, because we are running out of time on the Zoom. But if you went to Canterbury, what do we say? Kyle Flanagan and Jaden Knockenbaugh for Ben Hunt. That sounds fair. Probably a similar cap hit, knowing the way that the Trent Barrett administration handed out contracts.
No, I think if they go to Canterbury, I think they say we want Reed Money.
Well,
you can have Ben.
He did a fair turn style speed hump impersonation today.
Yeah.
He was really poor, and I like him.
He's got a bit of that about him, but if you can't have Ben Hunt, then we'll have Reed Money. But they need to do something. They need to get another player.
They need an asset out of him, is what you're saying. I completely agree.
Yeah.
And that's
Correct.
what Canberra won't get out of Whiten. But anyway, I'd love Ben Hunt to come to Canberra. That'd be delicious, but it won't happen. So these things.
Well, you can have him if we can have Hudson Young.
Yeah, I'd be jumping on Xavier Savage because Ricky Stewart doesn't realise he's under contract. Final point on the Ben Hunt stuff. It's Rothfield, so please take this the way that is intended, which is kind of hilarity / truth, whatever it is. According to Buzz, Ben texted me this morning and confirmed the stories he wanted out. I'm told it's immediate. But Ben didn't say that in the text. So he admits he's heard from him Then he says, I'm told it's immediate. And then he says, well, Ben didn't say that. That's classic buzz. But he wants to go and play for another club this year.
Well, Ryan Webb, in his interview on Triple M, said that Ben Hunt has agreed to play for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and then they'll have more talks within the next 3 or 4 weeks. That's what he said. He said he spoke to Ben Hunt today, and Ben Hunt said that after Origin, he'll be at the Dragons and will play for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Then they'll have deep conversations with Flanagan and co.
There's no way he's staying at the Dragons. None. Maybe the rest of this year, but there's no way he's there next year if that's the comment that he made. That's episode 293 of Not the Footy Show. We're going to talk about where people on the ladder, but we've run out of time. I don't think you need to hear it anyway because the good teams are the good teams and the bad teams are the bad teams. That's rugby league. The last point on that is someone posted a thing on Twitter today basically saying how bad's Origin impacted club football. And the fact is it doesn't matter, mate, because TV has got their NRL on the weekends and that's all that they care about. They don't give a stuff who plays and who's running out there. As long as it's on, people will watch it and they make their money. So we're going to have to just accept the fact this is the way it is, unfortunately. New South Wales are going to win on Wednesday night, Cogsmith. I believe it in my bones. Just as much as I believe Ben Hunt is no longer a Dragon, pretty much.
Okay, you could be right on both counts, mate.
We shall see.
And I have no feeling one way or the other. I like New South Wales, but at the same time, I think there needs to be some changes. And the best way to usher in the changes is to fail dismally.
Okay, here's the last point. Freddie loses this game. You reckon he's gone?
Yeah.
Does the sleep doctor stick around?
No, he's part and parcel with Freddie. No, there's no way. The only reason the doctor's there is because of Freddie. If they get a new coach, let's say they get Des or they get Jeff Tuvey, they'll bring in their own people.
Let's start the campaign.
There might be an investigation.
You know what? I truly believe he could do the Malman Inga role. He was so good. Just get up there, figurehead, 8 in a row. That's the way it works. Anyway, we're all on the Tubes bush for New South Wales coach in the future. Maybe not next year. But give Tubes a job. That's episode 293. That's Rob Cox. I'm Warrick Nicolson. If you want to let us know how you enjoyed the show, let us know in the comments on YouTube and or on iTunes. And enjoy your Origin Rugby League because we're going to win. Cocksmith, please.
All right, buddy. I'll catch you later. Pepsi.
Not the Footy Show.
We are one different.
Yep. What do you got?
Canberra aren't making the finals this year.
Oh, stop it. I'm hanging up. I got to go, mate. The bars are calling me. The honky tonks are playing my tune. What are you talking about?
Not the Footy Show.
You been sleeping over there?
Pepsi.